Hey there, this is Natalie, and to complete my set of videos about the sword, bow and spear heroes from the Rising of the Shield Hero, it's time to take a look at Motoyasu Kitamura, the spear hero. As with my videos about Ren and Itsuki, this will not contain any spoilers about future plot points or character development from later on in the light novels, so it is safe for anime-only Shield Hero fans who are avoiding spoilers. But it will contain some extra information that was skipped or sped through in the anime adaptation relating to Motoyasu's personality and background. If you do want to know more about the characters and story for the Rising of the Shield Hero from after the current point in the anime, then I will be making some videos covering that stuff throughout the season, similar to my Mushoku Tensei videos, as well as more anime-only Shield Hero content, so please consider helping me out by subscribing if you're a fan of the series. So, Motoyasu the Spear Hero is probably the one who had the strongest impact on both the audience and now for me in the early parts of the series. He's the oldest of the four heroes at 21, Naofumi is 20, Itsuki is 17 and Ren is 16, and he's also, in Naofumi's opinion, the best looking, in terms of what he thinks women would find attractive. And women are kind of the theme when it comes to Motoyasu. The heroes each embody different styles of isekai protagonist, but in a way that is kind of deconstructed. So where Naofumi is the naive type hero, which leads to him being easily tricked at the start and becoming the exact opposite, with serious trust issues and cynicism, Ren is the lone wolf Kirito style hero, and Itsuki is the justice-obsessed wannabe vigilante archetype. Motoyasu is of course inspired by harem protagonists. Now, typically harem protagonists are self-insert type characters, and we might question why the women are drawn to them, but we go along with the fact that they are because that's the type of story it is. In Shield Hero, this is deconstructed, with women with bad intentions actually targeting Motoyasu and wanting to join his harem solely to take advantage of the blind faith that he'll put in women he thinks like him. Motoyasu, having been isekai'd, expects to have a harem, because that's what happens when you get isekai'd, and because he believes he's good with women, based on being attractive, and to his mind, respecting women and treating them well. He sees himself as someone who will always stick up for women, which is why he's so angered by what he thinks is Naofumi forcing Raphtalia to fight for him, but he also never takes what these women actually want into account, thinking he knows best. He fights a duel with Naofumi to free Raphtalia from slavery, even though she doesn't want him to, and immediately chooses to get her slave crest reinstated afterwards. He gets a strange device made for Philo that forces her to stay in her human form because he thinks she must want to look like what he sees as a beautiful angel all the time, rather than what he sees as a fat chicken, regardless of the fact that being unable to transform is pretty horrible for Philo. As well as taking wrong actions, thinking he's helping women, and being very easy to manipulate for villainous women like mine, we also see Motoyasu's fixation on girls in things like him ranking all of the women in the heroes' parties. Incidentally, his top four are mine, Philo, Raphtalia and Yuusha. This happens in a scene skipped in the anime during the Calmira arc, where he tries to compare his list with the other heroes, as well as trying to get everyone to peep on the women at the hot springs. While he sees this as manly boy talk type stuff, the other heroes don't really want any part in it, and this is a good example of the way he sees himself as a playboy, while those around him, including other men, actually find him pretty gross. Still, one thing that was skipped in the anime actually reveals that Motoyasu isn't confident around women in all circumstances. In the light novels, when Yuusha is kicked out of Itsuki's party, she first goes to Motoyasu for help, in her distraught, borderline suicidal state. Motoyasu then asks Naofumi to help her in his place, revealing that he gets freaked out by women who are upset. This is most likely because Motoyasu was actually killed by a yandere type in his old world before being isekai'd to this one, and so women displaying out of control emotions actually terrify him. Motoyasu is in many ways a foil for Naofumi, at least Naofumi as he is after Mine betrays him, which is when he's at his most angry and cynical. Both of them have issues when it comes to women, but in Naofumi's case, he finds it hard to trust women, as seen by him initially only trusting Raphtalia and Philo because they have slave crests, and only learning to trust other women again as he develops. Motoyasu, on the other hand, trusts women who he finds attractive implicitly, and casts aside all logic to believe anything Mine says, even after Naofumi's name is cleared and she's caught trying to poison Naofumi. The difference in them is that while they start at these opposite extremes, Naofumi does learn to see women as individuals and decide whether or not they should be trusted based on what they actually do and say, rather than just on their gender, as he sees characters like Raphtalia and Melty behave with integrity, whereas Motoyasu's blind faith is not shaken, even when it's proven repeatedly that Mine has lied to him and done terrible things like trying to murder her own sister. He doesn't yet begin to grow. Another way that they oppose each other as characters is that Naofumi is completely put off of sex and romantic relationships for a very long time after his experience with Mine. And while he comes to love and care about women that he acknowledges are very attractive, like Raphtalia, he thinks about them only in non-sexual familial terms, as surrogate daughters or sisters. And I mean sisters in the normal way, not the usual anime way, which is quite frustrating for Raphtalia in particular. Motoyasu, on the other hand, is what we can politely call a very sexual being, or a massive pervert. Both of them are at different extremes, and this is largely due to the influence of the same woman, Mine. But it makes it impossible for them to find any kind of common ground, and makes Motoyasu easily the most frustrating of the other three heroes for Naofumi to interact with. It is interesting to note that the book Naofumi read that resulted in him being summoned to this world did tell him a bit about the hero's dispositions. We only saw him flick through it in the anime, but that was probably just a visual thing. It is supposed to be taken that he did read and remember some things from the book. The spear hero in the book was supposed to be all about loyalty, which of course at first sounded like a good thing, much like the bow hero's justice and the sword hero's cool heroism. But of course, we see with Motoyasu that loyalty can become a negative thing when it turns into blind faith. And also that for loyalty to be a good quality, it's probably better to have higher standards for how it's earned than just physical attraction and flattery. Now, I can't say much more about Motoyasu without getting into spoiler territory, so look out for my upcoming videos about what happens with the heroes later in the story if you're curious about how he develops. I will say though that he's the character that develops in the least predictable way of just about anyone in the series, and is definitely going to be entertaining to follow him as the story goes on. But what do you guys think about the spear hero? Let me know in the comments, though please remember to include a spoiler warning and some blank space before any spoilers from the light novels, where this is a spoiler-free video. Thank you as always to my supporters on Patreon, and to everyone who helps me out by subscribing to my channel and watching my videos. Thanks for watching this one, and I hope to see you again very soon.